Hello, Bamis. Welcome to the first Bamis podcast, I guess. This is Dinugelsor and got Clarkles with me. We're here to just talk about Bamis going into summer of 2026. Clarkles, thanks for being here. I'm excited to be making these podcasts every week with you.
Absolutely. Dino, I am tickled to death and super excited.
First, we just want to hit on the format changes to Bamis because it's actually a little bit different than it was in the winter. So Bamis has changed from 32 points to 30 points. And so the teams in general are going to, in theory, be a little bit weaker than they were before in Bamis. And most of the teams in Bamis from last season have now moved up to Medjai's, which I believe is 36 points. And the other big difference is we've moved from 24 teams in Bamis to just 10, so a much more condensed division. And just really excited to get to know all 10 of these teams, hopefully really in depth by the end of the season and see who comes out on top.
Man, I think 10 teams sounds a lot better and easier to make content for than 24.
I agree.
I was having nightmares. It's like, oh, this is going to be some long nights, but 10's doable. 10's doable. So I know you want to do a little preseason disclaimer, right? So this first one here, it's all preseason, so just initial thoughts. We don't know a whole lot of the teams yet, besides like if any scrims we've done. And I know you did a little document for just like get to know me a little bit. But we don't know a whole lot yet. So keep that in mind. Don't judge us. Don't hate. But get involved. Let us know what you think. All that kind of good stuff. So I know, Don, you want to kick it off. The first segment here is just the returning teams or returning team.
Yeah, only one returning team from Bamis' last split. That is going to be Valor, who is playing with the exact same roster as they played in Bamis' last split. And they're switching up all of the roles. It's really funny. So from top to bottom, the player name, username switching. They were mid lane, but now they're top lane. Surdy moved from support to jungle. Quaff played jungle last season, is now playing mid lane. Mig Bond, well, they didn't switch. They're playing bot still. And Jay Sean moved from top to support. What are your initial thoughts on this team, Clarkles? They're the only returning team from last season.
We did scrim them. I think we scrimmed them like way before, like as soon as our new roster is put together. I think it was still pretty early, and they're still pretty like early on in their switching and that kind of stuff. But I mean, they're one of the 5 30-point teams, so they're right at the cap. These guys are really solid. They've played together before. Returning teams typically do better than fresh teams. They have that synergy, and they all play together for a little bit. So I think that's honestly kind of the way to do it. Just everyone just switch positions. So you kind of still keep it fresh, keep it fun, but you still kind of keep the same group of guys together. So you still have a better chance.
I agree. I think consistency is a huge thing. We say so much about team play is so important. And Valor did make playoffs in the 32 points Bamis league last season and so I think there's something to be said there. They did get eliminated by the future semifinalist Dragoons, but like a good season, making playoffs in the 24 team division is nothing to scoff at. Their highest rated players I'm seeing are Mig Bond, who's their bot laner, and Switching, who will be playing top lane. It's hard to tell, though, for most of the players what we're going to get from them because they're switching roles.
Yeah, I definitely think, though, I mean, if they're switching for a reason, so they got to be confident in it. And I'm sure they've been practicing and that kind of stuff, so I'm sure they'll be fine. And again, they're right at the cap, so usually teams at the cap, they're going to be a pretty solid team altogether, and they're still going to have all that synergy and stuff, so even if they have a rough start, I think once they can kind of rely on that synergy they already have, and they just kind of connect to the new roles, and they'll be fine.
I completely agree. I'm excited to get to know them more and see all these see what picks we get people to specialize in, and who knows, maybe they were playing off roles last season and now they're playing their on roles. So I guess we'll have to figure out what Valor's got cooking up for us this season.
Absolutely. And then the teams calling it the Doran's Risers. Teams that came from Doran's up to Bamis this season. We have 3. So my team, Jimmy's Disciples, your team, Team Greeley, of course, and then Collision Time. I guess you and I can speak on our own teams for a second here, and then I'll speak on Collision Time. But starting with my team, obviously won Doran's last season.
Congrats, by the way.
Appreciate that. Not a full returning roster. We did make some changes. I swapped the jungle. We had My buddy Jay Lamau will be, or Vortex in game, will be playing top lane now. And then Radicus is stepping down for a season, and we have our other friend, name's Cam, or Senile Uncle Joe, will be stepping in and playing AD carry for us. Made it right at 30 points. I think our team is very solid, of course. We try to stick with a theme for our teams. There's a group of friends who all known each other for a long time, so starting to have that same synergy, the same style we played with last season. Our biggest weakness will probably be me in the jungle, because jungle's hard. I respect junglers so much more now, but we're looking forward to it. It'll be a lot of fun.
I'm gonna miss our matchups on the top lane. The Vortex is quite the talent up there. You've taken a championship winning team, and that was at 24 points, and now we're seeing at 30 with a couple of point bumps around some of the returning players. But I think like you guys are well deserving of being, I think, early contenders, just based off what we've seen last season between the synergies of the top three. And Radicus is still around, right? Even though they're not playing.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll still help us with like draft prep. He'll be a sub if we ever need to. And definitely he understands League very well. So definitely, and he understands all of us as friends. So he'll be definitely in there with his pointers and advice. He just had a lot of time commitments this split or the season, so he couldn't really play, but he'll definitely still be around. He is definitely a big part of the Jimmy's Disciples team. So you mentioned point bumps. So I went from 5 to 6. Nurgle Knight stayed the same actually at 5. No, I think it was 4. And he went to 5. Moose Tag went from 6 to 7. And then Vortex was just put at 8. And then our ADC was put at 4. So like we're right there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys bring to Bamis this season. Should be great.
Yeah. All right. So now for your own team, Dino.
Yeah. So Team Greeley, we're coming off a runner-up appearance in finals from Doran's last
runners
season.
Up. Yeah, runners up. It definitely isn't bad.
No, I'm really proud of us last season, mate. You know, you always wish you could have that last series back when you lose, but I'm really proud of where we are, and we're coming on in with the exact same roster. We got a couple of point bumps, but we're still sitting at 27 points, and so we're definitely expecting this season to be much more difficult for us than last season. Not like we thought last season was easy by any means, but we came in at the point cap right at the edge, and this season we're coming in as one of the teams with fewer points. And so I think we're really focusing on two things as we've been talking. One is just really reducing mistakes as a team, and because I'm expecting them to be punished more heavily. And the second thing is improving our individual play. Seeing that if we can bridge that 3-point gap between 27 and 30 points in our individual skill as the season goes on. Overall, though, I feel confident. There isn't any team on this list where I'm like, I feel like we've got no chance versus. I trust my team. I really love playing with them, and I think we've got I think we'll overperform compared to our points, and I just want to see how far we can go.
You brought up a great point. Looking at the list of teams, there isn't really one that sticks out that's like, oh man, they're going to run this league. Like I think every team really has a chance to take games off each other. And I think it will be a pretty close league. We have the 5 teams that are at 30 points, and then it kind of just jumps down to 27 and then 26. I thought it was kind of interesting. There's no like really in between. Yeah,
no 29 or 28. So I hadn't noticed that actually.
They say when you're making your team, kind of like give yourself a little bit of room just in case for odd adjustments. Some of us did, some of us didn't. Some of us were praying to the rising gods. But anyway,
we got one more team returning from Doran's in Collision Time.
Collision Time. I think they have probably one of the most well-known players. I think when we joined in, everyone was talking about Nectar, and this is the Nectar team. So they're coming up. They had some point bumps, of course, and they also added a new top laner, Revisioner. Swag Badger's still in the team, which is a sub. I think this team is super solid, very, very scary. Nectar, obviously, one of the better AD carries. Oxy last season played out of his mind, and I think people really noticed that, and he got a lot of love for it. So I'm excited to see Oxy play. Revisioner went from, I think he said he was in the league last season at 5 points. Now he's 7.
Yep, as a sub for them. And he played 1 week in Doran's and had a fantastic week as well. So I think he'll fit in quite nicely.
Yeah, so I think that'll definitely help them a whole lot and kind of give them more of an identity besides just a Nectar show. They're definitely going to need everyone to kind of help out. I think Oxy and Revision definitely will help with that. And then Kerry Potter returning, of course. He got a bit of a point bump, so excited to see how he'll play. And then Found Clarity still down there with Nectar. And one of the definitely the scarier bot lanes that we had from Dorans last season.
I agree. I'm so interested by this team because CT, I remember distinctly at least their last 2 seasons in Dorans, they were both underpointed teams in both of those seasons and were considered contenders in both of those seasons as well, despite being eliminated before getting to finals. And so now seeing this roster with 30 points, which I think is a testament to both the improvement of that roster's returning players as well as the addition of Revisioner. I think on paper you see a quarterfinals team from Dorans, but I see a team with a much higher ceiling than that would indicate for Bamis this season. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to bring to the table.
Yeah, like you said, like if they were always playing like under the cap and they kind of played up to compete with the teams at the cap, here they are at the cap. So let's see if they, overperform and play like they should be like Medjay or something like that. So that'd definitely be pretty interesting. Next up, we got the newcomers.
Yeah,
if you want to talk about them a little bit.
Starting from the top, we've got CE Cyborg coming in right at 30 points. I think this roster has a really strong collection of individual players just based on rank alone. Like they're all pushing the top of their point value, and I think they're going to get great value out of that. How they perform as a team, I've got no idea. I haven't seen them before, but just on paper, I was like, okay, it's a 30-point team with even ranks across the board.
Yeah, they do have one player I'm going to keep my eye on, and the reason why, I think he might be the most toxic player I've ever seen in my life. Aphelios Lover. I'm just looking at his match history. I saw this guy playing 80 carries top lane. And if this person only plays 80 carries top lane, we're going to have a long conversation.
As a top laner, yeah, so you're top laner too. I still consider you're still part of that. You still have the card for me.
Yep. So if I see an Aphelios top lane or any of that kind of stuff, like we're gonna have a talk. But I'm looking at his match history. I'm just seeing the classic Vayne Varus, which I'm still not a fan of, but it's okay. It's okay. I understand. With Smolder in there. I got my eye on you.
I am so curious how that'll work in a competitive environment because like solo queue is so chaotic, and very individual focused. But I'm looking at this roster. None of their players like to play true tanks. Their support doesn't plays Nautilus, I guess. But in their jungler plays Udyr, Shyvana, and a little bit of Volibear, but it mostly plays Echo. And so I'm like curious, how is this team going to function with a lower, without like a dedicated tank player, which I think is usually important to have at least somebody that can fill that role.
Right.
Can Aphelios
definitely be
or not?
Yeah. High risk, high reward, right?
Mm-hmm.
If pick this comp super aggressive or like, super scaling comp, if the other team has to be able to capitalize on it, if they make any mistakes, I mean, it's kind of just over, Say this guy plays Aphelios top and they have another scaling 80 carry and he gets 2 kills top lane somehow. And the game's kind of just over at that point. Like he's just going to scale like crazy. You have to dump resources into stopping him top, that the other carries start farming and stuff. So, I mean, it could definitely spiral out of control really quickly. So, but at the same time, team fighting is going to be super hard mid game without a tank. So, but we'll see.
We'll get to know week 1. They're actually being streamed as well. So I'll be keeping a close eye on those drafts for CE Cyborg.
Slippery Seals.
Oh, man. Slippery Seals looks good.
Which is actually our week 1 opponent. So I'm super excited for that. I believe they filled out the kind of get to know me thing, and they're a bunch of like really good former Dota players. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. First of all, thank you, Slippery Seals. But yeah, they had talked about their experience in Dota and having like a lot of success in Dota. And Clarkles, you're a Dota player. Like, what can you speak to that? The transference of skill.
There are a lot of really, really big differences in Dota. I was pretty good at Dota. I wasn't near as good as these guys. I was like Grandmaster equivalent in Dota. But in Dota is a really big team game. If you get counterpicked in Dota, like the counterpicks are so bad, you legit cannot play the game. Like imagine the worst matchup you could think of in League of Legends and just amplify it. Like, so it's real big on team play, item timings. Like, there are some heroes in Dota that they get one item and that's all I need for the entire game. Like, there's an item in Dota that's called a Blink Dagger, and it's like flash on a 15-second cooldown.
What?
So there are some heroes that, like, one of my favorites from Dota his name was Axe, and his whole kit was around taunting and you hitting him, and then he would spin and deal true damage, and then his ult was like a Darius ult, like a dunk and execute. So he would get this item, Blink Dagger, blink onto you, and then use his ability to like taunt you. And then while you're hitting him, he's spinning and doing damage. So there's stuff like that where it's real big, and then at the same time, you have there's no jungler in Dota, so you just have 2 lanes that are 2v2ing and then mid lane. So, and it's all about, like, the map is huge and there's a constant ward battle going on. So Dota is a real big team game, and a lot more complicated, kind of harder to get into than League. I think that's why a lot of like Dota players quit playing Dota and go to League. That's what we did. Because if I look queuing for a Dota game, I'm committing at least an hour, like guaranteed. Compared to League, you can get in and out in like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. Well, especially if it's going bad or good.
Yeah. So it's definitely a lot less of a time commitment, and like even like the drafts in like Dota. I played in an amateur Dota league for a while. The drafts itself can take 20 minutes.
So it's just a different pace of the game. It sounds like.
Yeah, it's just so much more to it. Like, the draft truly matters. If you get out drafted in Dota, it's over. Compared to League, if someone's like really, really good at a champion, they can still play their bad matchups. They can still make it playable and even like win the matchup still.
So
I think League is a lot more about individual skill, and I expect this team, since they've all played Dota, to be really, really good at macro and to really understand how one decision can really snowball into all the other little things, like recalling at a certain time to be ready for Dragon, pushing, making sure your waves are pushed, like all the little things. I expect this team to do really well. Just to see how they are mechanically would be the real question.
That's fantastic insight. I feel like I've learned more about Dota than I ever knew. With all that in mind, and looking at their points and their ranks, if they pull off the expected style of macro that you're expecting for me, I'm penciling them as early favorites. You know, I'll say it. I think this team looks extremely strong. Eternal Envy, Legacy, and Bees are among the top-ranked individuals in their respective roles. And even when we look at their lowest-ranked player, the Sauce 97, 58% win rate on Ramus, 71% win rate on Nocturne, and 62% win rate on Shyvana, their top 3 play champions. And I was like, that's really good. I think it'll bode well for them. Well, I said there's not a team I'm scared to face. I'm a little bit worried about Slippery Seal, so we'll have to see how that first week versus you guys comes out. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it was funny because we were literally just talking about this. I read the thing they put in the get to know me thing, and I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. You know, I talked to them a little bit, get to know them, you know, with that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, great, I get to play them the first week. Fantastic. So
a Dota on Dota matchup. I love it.
You ain't kidding. So anyway, it'll be super exciting, which it'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the competition in Bamis this season. So all right, I could yap all day long. I'm a yapper, Dinosaur. I keep this thing rolling.
So next new team we're going to talk about here is Goon Squad Gaming, aka GSG. GSG's coming in at 27 points, but they've got a really well-balanced roster. No weak spots to speak of, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this team be successful. That being said, I say this as a 27 points team player. I don't favor them on paper versus many teams.
Right. I will say, though, they're here to take Bamis by storm. Shout out to their posts and the content.
Absolutely.
With one of the coolest looking team previews I've ever seen. I don't know if we could put that in here somewhere, but that thing looks awesome. Whoever made that, fantastic job. But even at a 27-point team, I think how we mentioned earlier, like there's not really one team that sticks out. All the teams are pretty close. And it's so easy for the 27-point teams to play up to the 30. And especially them being a new team, we don't know if they've been friends for a while, and they've been playing. They already have that synergy. Like being new gives you that element of surprise, that kind of stuff. So,
Oh yeah, in Doran's last season and the season before, we had two newcomer teams in Old Palace, and then Jimmy's Disciples last season both come in and win the league. And so being an unknown can definitely be an advantage.
Yeah, that's just harder to scout sometimes. And again, just having that synergy. I keep repeating myself, but it is like a big deal for teams that play together. It makes communicating a lot easier. Like you guys and agreed you guys to play together for a minute, so it's just super easy to just makes the game a lot easier and easier to communicate, I think. But
I think
the next team.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to note about GSG. I'm really interested in their bot lane. I'm looking at their OPGG, and they have two players that have made bot lane this season, in both that Decker guy and Economy. Now, on the document, we've got Economy playing bot and that Decker guy playing support. And that Decker guy does mostly one-trick Senna, but I can't imagine that getting through draft very often. So I'm really curious what they're going to cook up with both of them having more experience playing the AD carry role instead of support.
Yeah. Look at that, just like masteries. I mean, he does play like Mayo-Tack. He has some Thresh games in there. So this guy just straight up plays bot lane in general. So I don't think they will struggle at all. If you ask if he feels confident enough to go play support like this in a league, I mean, I think he'll be great with Mayo-Tack, which was one of our staple picks from last season, I think, toward the end of the season.
Extremely reliable pick, yes.
Yeah. Kind of really super flexible, jack of all trades, engage, peel. So play a good Mayo-Tack support, it's pretty nasty. And Thresh, I think the goat of support, all that kind of stuff. So I think they'll be really good even.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know them and hopefully more content. Keep it up, GSG. You're already crushing it.
Absolutely. All right, so then the next team, I don't even know how to pronounce this. If you can, Dino, I'll give you $5. It's one big acronym: NTBTSTLOLT.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you think that I need you to come up with an acronym for this? What does it represent?
Not the best. Ooh, that sucks. I really don't know. You can't put me on the spot like that, Dino. I start to panic. Now I'm anxious.
That was pretty good. I really need to. I really want to know. We're gonna have to come back for week 2 or after week 1 and figure out. But they're gonna get the IKEA fate. So IKEA is a Doran team last season, great team. Their full name was like Iron Knuckle Esports Association, but they were just IKEA after week 1. I think this team, unless they tell me differently, are just going to be NTB. So if you their abbreviation is NBNA. Anyways, I'm talking too much about their name. I'm so interested by it. Let's look at the roster. NBNA is coming in at 27 points with a decently balanced team. I think 4 to 6 points.
Yeah, they must have gotten. No, they're down there. Okay. I thought they must have got rated a little higher. And they did. Their gold players got rated plat.
I'm hoping they can pull together as a strong unit, because we've seen lower point teams succeed again. I know we've said this a few times, but I have also seen lower point teams not succeed, and so I really wanted to see it from NVNA and what they can bring to the table, because I really don't know what to expect. I'm looking at their picks, and I'm not sure what to make of it all. What do you think?
Man, I'll tell you what. If you have a name like that, you've got to be confident. You got to know what you're doing. You got to be good at the game. So I think they're going to be all right. Now, like you said, I really hope they do. Unfortunately, in every league, there's got to be teams that don't perform well. I really hope this team isn't one of them, because I really want to know what that acronym stands for. I really do. So I hope we find out when we can share that. Hopefully it's not like a secret.
Well, that would be a bummer. That's like help Katie. Who's Katie? Who's Jimmy?
It's you can find out. You just have to, we told you where we host the meetings.
Well, I guess we'll get back next week with it. I really I want to look at their top laner really quickly. Zusk, who has
Zusk.
228 games on Shen, and their next highest is 19. And so they're platinum too, so they know their way around the Rift.
My man just played an Ivern top game. I respect it. He's played a
I
lot of Ivern top games, actually. Oh, my goodness.
it's I guess technically he's ranged, but I don't consider it as evil as a Phelios lever. So
No, I don't. Yeah.
but I don't. I'd say if I went to give some Ivern top, I don't know where I'd start. So I'll hope we get to see some Ivern top from Zusk.
He also played Ivern mid at one point in solo queue. I respect this dude so much. This is a fun. I don't even call him a one trick. He's got a ton of mastery points on a bunch of the champions. But he's got his three he enjoys: Shen, Zach, and Ivern, and it looks like he plays them wherever and whenever he wants, and I respect that. But like you said, he's not a Philios top enjoyer, so I respect him even more.
So Zusk instantly up the tier list.
What are your thoughts on like one trick pony players in like leagues like Risen and stuff?
I think it's.
Do you think it's like?
I think it's a detriment.
It's a weak point, or
I do think I've played with a number of them. I've played against a number of them, and it's so difficult because one tricks usually love their champions. They don't play those champions because they don't love them, and so it's hard for them to want to practice on other champions in my experience because they just enjoy the identity of their one trick so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but it's pretty common sense for the most part to ban one tricks within the competitive environment. And so usually I see that a player's individual skill can be significantly higher on a one trick than other champions, which can be a tough adjustment if you're new to comp. Now, like Microbrat on our team I would argue he's darn near a one-trick Lilia player in solo queue, and one of our pressure points last season was expanding Microbrat's pool, and as we did that, the season got much easier for us. I think we are still working on that, but I've played with a number of one-tricks before, and I do think it's not a deal breaker, but it does make it harder.
Does their mental like boom if they ever do get their one trick in a series and they lose on it?
I feel like it's got to depend on the player, but there's definitely a bit of ego there. You're like, oh man, they gave me my character, now I want to win. But I think there's also some truth of like, if you see a one trick and you're smart about drafting, maybe you can cook something up to directly counter it because they're going to pick it if you leave it open, which I think can be pretty powerful.
Which, as we're talking about one tricks, I'm looking at the rest of the roster too. Looks like their jungler is a Rengar. I don't want to say one trick, but he plays a lot of Rengar. Like he has 640,000 points on Rengar. The next is 280k on Kha'Zix, and he has 50 games of Rengar. The next is 16 on Fiddlestick. So I mean, that's borderline Rengar one trick, and I feel like Rengar's a really hard champion to play in comp games. So he's so like feast or famine. Like you have to get ahead, or you're just so useless.
Yeah, I'm really curious how they make that work. And yeah, assassins in general are just hard because vision is a lot smarter and the communication leads to fewer out of position opponents. So
yeah,
but a good assassin player will make it happen, and I hope we get to see some assassin play because it's very, very interesting than just the stock standard.
Oh yeah, and it's super entertaining. Shall we move on to the next team, Dino?
Yeah, let's keep on going.
Project Boom. And they have the highest rated player in the league. And that is Sunless in their jungler. He's 9 points. 9? Correct me if I'm wrong. That's high diamond, correct?
Yep, I'm looking at high diamonds. So, but their team is still coming in at 26 points overall.
It's a super interesting. I guess they're going off of past seasons. He was Diamond 2 before. Okay, that makes sense. And I will say, I think if you're going to have all your points dumped into one position, I definitely think jungle is the right position, I think, to have that, because jungle does like push tempo of the game, can really hard carry snowball, get everybody else ahead. Like, from what I've noticed, a really good jungler is absolutely terrifying. I think I was thinking about Dorns last season. There were so many good junglers. Oxy, Fajita, Micro Brat was terrifying. Like it was really hard. Even in Woods was really good. So to have like, if they can play carry junglers compared to just like tanks and bruisers and stuff, like the jungle role is absolutely terrifying. So I think that's a good place to have your best player at.
I agree, and I think we just would, like we said, 26 points is not that far off 30, and Sunless, especially if Sunless can bring some of the intangibles as well of leadership, of like you can manipulate the map really effectively from a jungle because you see all of it more than most other players on the map because you're not isolated, and so they can run the tempo of the game. I could see Sunless putting on a show this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just looking at like his matches and the chance he plays, like you can just tell. I mean, Echo, Silas, Viego, Zahin. I mean, this guy's looking to carry, so so it'll be really exciting to see what he does and the stat lines he's able to put up. Hopefully, his team's able to kind of keep up and kind of set him up for success. So that'd be super exciting. Any other points for this team you want to kind of point out?
I just see Cheesebread with 221 games on Bard this season with one trick, and I know I just said the whole thing about banning one tricks, but I want to see Cheesebread play Bard this season now.
I feel like
I love Bard.
Yeah, definitely, it's a big goofball champion. It would definitely wouldn't surprise me. It's kind of when you have a team like this where like it's clear who their best player is. It's like, do you dump all your bans on the best player who's going to be good on whatever regardless they play, or do you ban out some of the other players on their comfort picks and kind of make them not as comfortable?
Yeah.
So like, if you ban this guy's Bar, like what else is he going to play? You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I mean, even if you go to the top lane, very caution currently in Solo Duo has 21 more games of Poppy than the second highest played champion. And so, yeah, I think I think now you say it, I think we got a good shot at Cheesebread Bard, and I'm looking forward to it already.
I hope they first pick it every single series. Like that's just hype.
That's aura right there.
A good Bard.
Boom.
Boom for real. Last team?
Yeah,
let's good old Redemption.
Redemption from what? The item or
I don't know.
Let's see if I can. Did these players play last season?
It's kind of edgy, though. I respect it. I kind of like it.
I do. They're coming in at 26 points as well, and they're hard to read. I don't know. I can't get a good read on Redemption. How about you?
Looking at some of their match histories here. I mean, they seem like on paper they seem pretty solid. I mean, a lot of gold players. It kind of sucks playing in a league, you know, because there are some of those teams that like they just barely missed the cutoff for the league below, so they have to go up. And those teams are typically ones that kind of suffer a little bit. It wasn't what team in Dorn's season was like that? Wasn't Help Katie like a lower rated team? Correct me if I'm wrong.
They made a late roster change to stay within the points range. Yes, and so they ended up being underpointed. Where their original roster they would have been overpointed.
I see.
And so, yeah, I definitely could. You never know what goes on behind the scenes, but if you
and just because a team's like underpointed, definitely like does not mean like they're gonna suck by any means. Because at any point a player can like kind of click in their brain of like, and they can just pop off at any time. Like even just the synergy of playing together and that kind of stuff, just being comfortable and knowing their style and just sticking to their style. And that
For
kind of
sure.
stuff. They definitely play a lot better in comp games compared to like solo queue where they get like their ranks and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm looking at their match history. They've played a lot of flex together, so they're definitely committed. And I do think in these, like, these risen leagues of team builder, just getting the games in together is so important. So when I'm seeing teams put in games together, I immediately raises my confidence that they can perform because it shows that they're committed to playing together consistently. And so I'm hoping Redemption can show us some good stuff. I'm really curious. Their highest rated player is Yuno. I don't think it's Yuno Nova, who a different Yuno. but is an Emerald 2 ADC main for the most part, but we'll be playing jungle for them in Bamis. And so I'm curious if there's some mastery behind the scenes of previous seasons, or if they're just filling in.
Mm-hmm.
But like we said before, jungle's a great role to put your best player in.
Look at this guy's like hero masteries too. Like he doesn't really play a whole lot of like jungle champs like at all. So it is kind of interesting, like whether he has played it before or he just has a buddy he really wanted to play with and they only play 80 carries. Like, you know what, I'll suck it up and take on the jungle role. Or, you know, if you just really want to embrace it, like, hey, I want to be the one to control the tempo and help this team succeed. So I'll be the one to do it. So you never know. It'll be really interesting. He's looks like in his match history, he's been playing like carry junglers again. Mm-hmm. So like Viego, Hecarim. I love Hecarim. I love one of my favorite champions. Talia, Graves. So if they're able to pop off on these champs, I mean, definitely a big possibility.
Indeed.
Jax, Aatrox. Super fun.
And yeah, any other notes for Redemption here?
Not really, as I'm kind of looking through. Again, I just really hope that since they've played together so much, they'll be able to sneak some games early on the teams that haven't played a whole lot together.
Mm-hmm.
And that way they'll give them the best possible chance. I'm not sure, is 10 teams enough for everyone to make playoffs, or will some teams still come up short?
Playoffs are top 6 teams qualify. And there's a qualification round and then the quarterfinals. So almost half the league is eliminated, actually. So this is a pretty restrictive league, I would say, in terms of playoffs. And so I think early season will matter.
Series is really gonna matter here.
And they are playing acronym team, and gosh, they're playing NVNA week 1, and so I do think that will be a very important matchup for both teams, coming in with lower points and just trying to get that first win on the board. And so that's another matchup I'm going to be watching very closely. I know it's only week 1, we've seen things change, but I think that could set a trajectory for either of those teams.
Yeah, definitely. The time to win for them is definitely early in the season. You know, they sneak out the first 2 weeks and they get some wins. That kind of like, I think that really kind of locks them in. I don't say guaranteed playoffs, but I mean, they'll be in a good spot. They have a lot of good momentum going on, a lot of confidence. That's a big thing. Winning early builds that confidence to kind of keep going.
Yes,
so it'll be super important for these guys to win early.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I think in future weeks, the podcast will break down some of the matches of the week, especially the streamed matches. Just talk about how all the teams are looking, more of an overview, probably not quite as in-depth per team, and talk about best performers of the week. And if you made it this far, well, thanks for listening to Clarkles and I Yap for so long. And we would love to have a few more people hop on the Bamis Contents team, especially from different teams. It's really cool to get different perspectives and just to get to know each other. So feel free to shoot either Clarkles or me, Dinuglesaur, DM if anybody's interested in hopping on the content train, because we're going to be cooking this season.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to it. We have already a great team of guys that are just brainstorming ideas nonstop. Shout out to Mayo, couldn't be here tonight, but he's going to make us look great. He's the man. So I'm super excited. We would love for anyone to come yap with us. You know, it's super chill. I'm really looking forward to making content this season. It'll be super fun.
I think that's it for week 1. See y'all next week.